Story of the week. Story for children and youngsters with a good moral. Listen and forward to your friends. Listen and enjoy. Once upon a time, in a peaceful and picturesque village, lived an elderly man named Bhurabai. He was a kind-hearted soul with a profound love for nature, especially birds. His house was always filled with the sweet chirping and various feathered friends. One sunny morning, Bhurabai went to the local market and brought home two exceptionally beautiful white pigeons. Their feathers were as white as driven snow, and their eyes sparkled with innocence. Bhurabai named them Mittu and Bittu. To ensure they lived comfortably, he bought a spacious, airy cage and placed it in his garden. Every morning he would feed them high-quality grains and fresh water, often spending hours talking to them as if they were his own children. He didn't believe in keeping them captive forever, thus he would often leave the cage doors open. The pigeons were free to fly across the sky, but they were so loyal that always returned to Bhurabai by sunset. Mittu was gentle, calm, and incredibly affectionate. He had helped nature and stayed close to home. On the other hand, Bittu was less restless and adventurous. He had wandering spirit and was always eager to explore beyond the boundaries of their village. One day, driven by curiosity, Bittu said to Mittu, "Let's go to the large garden on the outskirts of the village. I want to meet new friends and see the world." Although Mittu was hesitant and preferred the peace of their home, he eventually agreed to accompany his friend. In the new garden, they met a group of wild birds. However, these birds were ill-mannered. They used harsh language, quarreled constantly, and spent their time in mindless mischief. Bittu, fascinated by the rebellious lifestyle, began to enjoy their company. Gradually, Mittu also started spending time with them. Within a week, a drastic change occurred. The once quiet and polite pigeons began to shrieking loudly and acting aggressive. Bhurabai noticed this change immediately. He was shocked to see his sweet pigeons behaving so rudely. To find the root cause, he followed them one afternoon and discovered their new friend circle in the distant garden. He realized that the bad influence of their peers was ruining their character. That evening, Bhurabai called them and asked softly, "Mittu, who were the most peaceful bird I knew? Why have you become so loud and angry?" Mittu bowed his head in shame and replied, "Forgive me, uncle, I fell into bad company and I started imitating them without thinking." Turning to Bittu, Bhurabai explained, "Company defines character. Just as a piece of cloth takes on the color of the dye it is dipped in, our soul takes on the habits of those we live with. If you keep the company of the wise, you will grow wise. If you stay with the unruly, you will become like them." Realizing their mistake, Bittu and Mittu promised to stay away from bad influence. They returned to their old virtuous way and chose friends who were kind and disciplined. Moral of the story: our environment and the people we surround ourselves with deeply impact our behavior. Choose your company wisely, for it shapes your destiny. Send your reply. Have a good day.